Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're stepping straight into a world completely shrouded in smoke, shadow, and crumbling mythology. We are going to decode some incredibly profound philosophy through the lens of a grim, dark, graphic novel-style fable. We'll be tracing the absolute collapse of an old, corrupt divine order and witnessing the agonizing, but totally triumphant, rise of a new kind of creator. It's a journey of destruction, terrifying isolation, and ultimately radical self-overcoming. Let's get right into it.
Runes are but rubbish. Ruin is ripe. Cinder the contract. Cold is the craft. Those are the words of Lutgard the Arsonist, welcoming us directly into the soot and ash of a dying cosmos. Just look at the absolute venom in that quote. The old laws, the ancient runes, the supposedly unbreakable contracts of the gods. To Lutgard, they're nothing but dry kindling just waiting for a spark.
And he really doesn't stop there. Lutgard mocks the very gods themselves. He actually calls them clumsy kings playing predictable parts. He looks at their entire existence and sees a pathetic cosmic theater built on stolen, rotting timber. The authority of the heavens isn't absolute at all. It's just a fragile stage play waiting for the curtains to catch fire.
Okay, before we get too deep into the profound philosophy embedded in this story, we absolutely have to understand the artistic form delivering it. Did you notice the rhythm of those quotes? That is called stab rhyme. It's an authentic, alliterative verse style that favors short, punchy lines linked by heavily stressed starting consonants. It doesn't rely on the polite rhyming of end syllables. It hits you hard right at the front of the word. It's a harsh, incredibly rhythmic poetry of ruin, perfectly suited for a world that's crashing down around us.
Section 1. The Poetry of Ruin.
Just listen to one of Lutgard's most chilling observations. Tinder for tempest tearing the roof, Valhalla is vanished, void is the vault. Lutgard isn't just sitting back as a passive observer. The guy is a literal philosophical arsonist. In his parables, he actively transforms into this choking wall of smoke. He sucks the oxygen straight out of the tempest, extinguishing the very life out of the storm to make sure the world is swallowed in soot. He is the embodiment of pure negation.
Section 2. Archetypes of Destruction.
Now, what's really fascinating here is this battle between two completely opposing archetypes of ruin. On one side, we have Lutgard. He is entirely fatalistic. He fully embraces the void, using what he calls his not-I shadow energy as the literal ink to write out the god's ledger of debts right onto the flesh of the dark elf. He only wants to tear things down. But contrast that with our protagonist, the Seeker. The Seeker also faces the collapse of the world, but their response is completely active. The Seeker uses the void not as a dead end, but as a severe crucible, a terrifying forge necessary to build everything anew.
Section 3. Stages of Self-Overcoming.
So how does the Seeker actually build anew? This severe crucible, known in our fable as the Seventh Solitude, is essentially a dark hero's journey of the mind, mapping incredibly closely to Nietzschean philosophy. The Seeker's physical ascent perfectly mirrors the psychological torment of self-overcoming. Step 1, you're completely severed from support. You have to climb to the peak of the pale ash, entirely alone, leaving the rotting roots of the old gods way behind you. Step 2 is the nausea of existence. Here, the Seeker encounters a serpent sliding into their throat, which represents the suffocating weight of eternity. And then, step 3, the convulsive will. You don't just choke, you bite down on the black flesh. You must violently sever the beast of despair.
Section 4. From Silence to Freedom.
This sequence brilliantly illustrates the mastery of what philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche called the eternal recurrence. Look at how this unfolds. First, there's terrifying silence, an isolation so unimaginably deep that not even an echo returns to you. Then, the suffocating weight hits. The snake of eternal repetition literally lodges in your throat. The third stage is the convulsive bite, a sheer, unadulterated surge of pure will pushing back against the nausea. And finally, you get the breakthrough, holy laughter. The abyss transforms completely into a sacred sanctuary of freedom.
The key to grasping this is the thematic juxtaposition. The serpent of recurrence is the ultimate test. When the old gods faced their corruption and their shifting shadows, what did? They just sank in silence. They let the rank rain wash them away. They were completely passive. But the Seeker unleashes a convulsive surge of will to bite right through that nausea. Where the gods submitted to the end, the Seeker actively conquers it.
Section 5. The Final Peak.
Listen to this brand new verse written in the stab rime style, capturing the ultimate bridge between the god's ruin and the Seeker's rebirth. Peaks of the pale ash piercing the past, gods in the graveyard gasping for grace. Seeker is striking, sparking the soul, will of the whirlwind waking the world. You can literally feel the momentum building in those consonants. The old world is gasping its last breath, but the seeker is striking, acting as the very wind that wakes the cosmos back up. To concretize this abstract philosophy a bit, picture the stark visual imagery of the Peak of Ash. It isn't just a physical mountain. It represents the ultimate, terrifying height of isolation. It rises far, far above the rotting roots of all those old diplomatic treaties and fragile cosmic laws. It's a place so empty, so entirely devoid of the old order, that even the seeker's own echo refuses to bounce back. You have to face the void, completely, absolutely alone.
Section 6. Birth of the Übermensch.
This transformation builds a completely new psychological framework for us. If we contrast the traditional divine ideals, the old gods, with the Übermensch, the ultimate seeker, the difference is staggering. The gods built their foundation on brittle treaties and rotting roots. The Übermensch builds on the pure void and the pale ash. When faced with total collapse, the gods' reaction was just sinking into silence. But the Übermensch, they react with wholly transformative laughter. And the final outcome? The old gods are left in an absolute freezing dark, while the Übermensch achieves complete freedom and steps up as an active creator.
So the really crucial point to take away from this explainer is this ultimate contrast. The fall of the old world is referred to as the kingly crash. It's a pathetic end in the freezing dark with absolutely zero chance of rebirth. But the path of our protagonist, the Seventh Solitude, demands something far more painful but infinitely more rewarding. Destruction alone, which is all Lutgard really wants, simply isn't enough. The true creator uses that severe crucible to forge a sacred sanctuary right out of the very heart of the abyss. You don't just survive the end of the world, you laugh at it, and then you build the next one.
The old stage play is finally over. The clumsy kings have fallen, their brittle treaties have turned to tinder, and their ruins to ash. But the path up the pale ash peak is yours to climb, and the serpent of despair is waiting for you. So we leave you with this final thought. When the god's ledger burns, what would you write in the ash?